In our headlines on this Friday afternoon, January 6th. The World Health Organization says COVID-19 related hospitalizations in China surged almost 50% in the past week amid concerns that Beijing may be downplaying the severity of its pandemic situation. Meanwhile, on the local corporate front, Samsung Electronics is projecting its lowest quarterly profit in 8 years amid a global decline in demand for electronic gadgets. In Las Vegas, this year's Consumer Electronics Show has officially kicked off with hundreds of companies from the world, including South Korea, showing off their latest inventions and ideas. We begin in neighboring China, where authorities claim their COVID-19 tallies are accurate. Now, this comes amid global concern that Beijing is undercounting its pandemic numbers, raising the risks of a broader regional fallout. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
According to the World Health Organization on Thursday, COVID-19 hospitalization figures have soared nearly 50% over the past week. The data on the weekly status of COVID-19 in China, released by the WHO, shows that the number of new COVID-19 hospitalization in China increased by 46% on week. Chinese authorities also say 218,019 new cases of COVID-19 and 648 deaths were reported this week. However, the WHO says it's unclear if the data supplied by China is accurate and that the situation could be even worse. Airfinity, a British medical data analysis company, estimates 2 million COVID-19 cases per day in China and around 10,000 deaths. Despite this, China reaffirmed its stance that it has been transparent with its data.
Facts have proven that China has always maintained close communication with the World Health Organization and shared relevant information and data in a timely manner in accordance with the principles of law, timeliness, openness, and transparency.
In response to growing calls from the EU to its member states to impose stricter travel measures for travelers from China, Germany, Belgium, and Sweden are set to mandate COVID-19 testing before entry to their countries. Germany had previously been against such measures on the grounds that a new mutant virus had not yet emerged in China, but sharply changed its stance after the EU recommendation. Hitting back, the Chinese Foreign Ministry says COVID-19 measures should be based on science and facts, and that there should be no attempts to politicize the issue or adopt a discriminatory practice that affects regular person-to-person exchanges. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
On the local corporate front, Samsung Electronics believes its profits for the fourth quarter of 2022 have plunged to a low last seen in the year 2014. Company officials are linking the poor performance to the global drop in demand. Our Arirang has more on these findings.
Samsung Electronics expects an earnings shock for the fourth quarter of 2022. The company on Friday reported estimated fourth quarter operating profits of 4.3 trillion won, or roughly $3.3 billion at the current rate. That's down about 69% compared to the same period a year earlier. And it's the first time in 8 years that the tech giant has recorded quarterly operating profits below 5 trillion won. In terms of Q4 sales, it projected an on-year decrease of 8.58%, amounting to 70 trillion won, or a little over $55 billion. Analysts are linking this earnings shock to the global economic slowdown amid inflation and soaring interest rates. While economic uncertainties continue, consumer demand for memory chips and smartphones is dropping. In fact, as more companies tighten their purse strings, demand for memory chips is plunging. Experts are even forecasting that the price of chips will eventually fall as stocks are piling up. Individual consumers are also hesitant about buying smartphones and home appliances too. A sharp fall in the $1 exchange rate is also seen as one of the reasons for the earnings shock. Meanwhile, the company did not reveal specific profits by sector, but experts expect a sluggish performance for semiconductors is behind this result. One investment securities firm forecasted operating profits for semiconductors in Q4 to come in at $1.1 billion. That's 70% down from the previous quarter. Experts also predict the downward trend for Samsung's operating profits to remain throughout the second quarter of this year, as there are no signs of demand recovery for semiconductors yet. 이래현, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, the world's largest trade show of consumer gadgets kicked off on Thursday local time. Google, Amazon and Microsoft, the tech giants who skipped last year's event amid Omicron fears, are back for this year's Consumer Electronics Show. Some 3,000 companies from the world are taking part this year, and foot traffic is forecast to reach above 100,000 visitors. Now, South Korea's Samsung and LG have also set up stalls, with LG touting a giant OLED display with 260 screens and Samsung showcasing a smart house solution. Also at that event, South Korean startups are indulging in the limelight as many secured the CES Innovation Awards, that is, for their AI-based technology. Our Kim Hyun-sung has details.
No more need for a stethoscope in the medicine cabinet. This is Waymade Cough, a smartphone app that alerts users of their health problems through artificial intelligence. So you have to cough and breathe into the screen, and then the app records the sounds. And then artificial intelligence analyzes whether your cough sounds serious enough for you to go see a doctor. So mine says that my cough does sound a bit serious, so it's best that I go see a doctor. This clever technology was developed by Waysen, a Korean startup. But their innovation doesn't end here. They have also come up with easier ways to detect the early stages of cancer. The Waymade Endo spots unusual dents and bumps during an endoscopy, and Waymade EBUS helps detect lung cancer during an endobronchial ultrasound.
AI assists medical professionals by finding abnormalities or lesions in real time. The program also has a built-in cooperative diagnosis system so that hospitals that lack resources can share medical strategies with other professionals.
Waysen's tech is already in use at a hospital in Vietnam. It also garnered worldwide recognition by becoming the world's first medical AI company to win 4 innovation awards at CES. And it's not the only Korean startup getting attention in Las Vegas. Out of almost 500 CES Innovation Awards this year, Korean companies bagged close to 1/3 of them. Startups were in the spotlight, with 34 startups companies scoring 48 awards. Of them, almost half were healthcare products. This Korean startup merges AI with beauty. The company Lululab developed a technology called Lumini, where AI analyzes skin conditions like redness or pores with just several snapshots. The program then gives product recommendations that cater to the user's specific skin needs. And this technology is versatile. It can be used from in-store kiosks to at-home apps.
From big corporations to small stores, businesses can expand their profit model by using our technology. An overseas cosmetic brand has added our software into its app so that it leads consumers straight to buying the recommended products.
Lululab says that it's building an AI that can diagnose skin allergies and eczema. Its booth and other startup innovations at 2023 CES give a glimpse of the intertwined future of AI and healthcare. Kim Hyun-sung, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the K-content industry is looking at substantial support from the government as the Yoon administration highlights the importance of diversifying Korea's export products as well as markets. Our Shin Se-byuk has more on the Culture Ministry's agenda for this year.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism will inject over 6.7 trillion won, or roughly over $5.3 billion, to support South Korean media content this year to further expand K-culture to the world. In a policy briefing to President Yoon Suk-yeol on Thursday, the Culture Minister spoke of the importance of nurturing K-content as it has become the country's #1 major source of growth.
K-content has become the major export growth engine. It will be the game changer that changes the export landscape of the country.
The key agenda out of the 6 presented includes further promoting K-content. The ministry allocated its largest budget of 790 billion won, or some $620 million, for nurturing promising firms in the industry. In particular, it pledged to provide intensive support to the game industry, which takes up 70% of the total content exports. It will also give comprehensive support to promote a variety of online fictional content like online novels and cartoons. Also, the government will provide systematic support to boost production for OTT platforms. Specifically, it will offer over 45 billion won, or nearly $36 million in financial support for movie and TV show production and 30 billion won for post-production work. Through those efforts, the ministry aims to increase the country's content exports to $15 billion this year and $22 billion by 2027, around a twofold growth from 2021. Another major pillar of the 2023 work plan involves reviving tourism through the rising popularity of K-culture. To do so, the government plans to declare the year 2023 as the year of Visit Korea and hold tourism roadshows in 15 big cities around the world. The ministry will also work to create a cluster for history and culture-themed tourism centered around the formal presidential compound of Cheongwade and surrounding old neighborhood. Detailed plans are yet to be made, but the ministry said the advisory committee will come up with a concrete plan soon. Other plans include supporting local areas that lack cultural opportunities and supporting artists with disabilities, such as opening a barrier-free performance arts hall. 신세벽, Arirang News.
In a rather disturbing turn of events, the South Korean military has retracted an earlier denial to admit that a North Korean drone had indeed entered capital Seoul's no-fly zone. My colleague Pyeongchang reports.
More than a week after 5 North Korean drones crossed into the South's airspace last Monday, Seoul's military admitted that one of them had briefly entered the northern end of a no-fly zone. This zone, also known as P-73, has a 3.7-kilometer radius surrounding the presidential office in central Seoul. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff had denied that one of the drones had entered this zone, but reversed its stance on Thursday. The military said that this comes after conducting a detailed analysis on the trajectory of the drone. But it insisted that it did not fly directly over the Yongsan area where the office of President Yoon Suk-yeol is located, and stressed that there are no problems regarding the security of the presidential office. An official from the JCS said because the drone flew about 3 kilometers from ground, and considering its capabilities, the North would not have been able to take close-up photos of the presidential office. But South Korea's National Intelligence Agency said the possibility that the North may have taken photos of it nonetheless cannot be ruled out.
We expressed our concerns that pictures of the presidential office in Yongsan may have been taken by North Korea, and the NIS said that is a possibility.
Last week's drone intrusion prompted South Korea's military to scramble fighter planes and attack helicopters, but it wasn't able to bring down the drones, allowing them to fly over the capital area for about an hour. To prevent this from happening again, the military said it conducted a drill on Thursday afternoon involving live-fire training, using Ka-1 light attack aircraft and Cobra attack helicopters.
Through this drill, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and operating forces were able to train for classified military operations using aircraft similar to the enemy's drones.
Thursday's exercise comes about a week after the military staged similar drills to counter drones that did not involve live-fire training. Pyeongchang, Arirang News.
In other news, top diplomats and defense authorities from the US and Japan will meet in Washington next week to address China-related matters as well as North Korea's military ambitions. The so-called 2+2 meeting scheduled for January 11th will be attended by the US Secretaries of State Antony Blinken and Defense Lloyd Austin, as well as their Japanese counterparts Yoshimasa Hayashi and Yasukazu Hamada, stressing that Washington-Tokyo ties are the cornerstone of a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The U.S. State Department added that the two sides will discuss their shared vision of a modernized alliance that will tackle 21st century challenges facing the globe. At the Vatican City, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI was put to rest in a tomb under St. Peter's Basilica on Thursday. Our Pyeongchang reports.
Pope Benedict XVI was laid to rest on Thursday morning as around 100,000 people gathered at St. Peter's Square to pay tribute. The funeral mass in Vatican City was held after a 3-day wake visited by some 200,000 mourners from around the world.
I'm very happy to be here. He was a great pope, and he left the church his legacy of being friends with Jesus.
Pope Francis led the ceremony, marking the first time in the modern era that a current pope has presided over the funeral of a predecessor.
Holding fast to the Lord's last words and to the witness of his entire life, we too, as an ecclesial community, want to follow in his steps and to commend our brother into the hands of the Father.
Attending were German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and Italian President Sergio Mattarella. Also, the King of Belgium and former Queen of Spain, as well as the leaders of Poland and Hungary. Pope Benedict's body was buried in the former tomb of John Paul II, who was the head of the Catholic Church before him. Officials have said the funeral was kept simple in accordance with the late former pontiff's wishes. Pope Benedict died on New Year's Eve at the age of 95, roughly a decade after stepping down due to health reasons. He was the first pope in 6 centuries to do so. Choi Min-dong, Arirang News.
Over in Gangwon-do province here in the country, the Pyeongchang Trout Festival is well underway, much to the delight of families and friends. Now, for those of you who have yet to make weekend winter plans, my colleague Song Yoo-jin highly recommends a visit there. To take a look.
A great way to start off the new year, having some winter fun. One place you can do that is Pyeongchang County in Gangwon-do province. Located 700 meters above sea level, it's one of the coldest and snowy places in South Korea. The area is also famous for trout.
Pyeongchang houses the country's first and largest trout farm. Trout raised in the clean and clear waters here are known for being soft and chewy.
In light of this, the county has been holding the Pyeongchang Trout Festival every year. It's one of the country's biggest winter festivals, offering visitors a chance to try both traditional and modern winter activities. And now it's back for the first time in 3 years, having been canceled due to COVID-19. From early morning, people streamed in to do some traditional ice fishing. People living in this area need to break through thick sheets of ice to catch fish when the river freezes. And this was an opportunity for avid anglers of all ages from Korea and abroad to try their hand at an age-old technique.
Definitely interesting. Fishing in the winter on a frozen river is quite interesting.
Learning ice fishing is easy, but to succeed is another thing. But even if you fail, you can still learn valuable life lessons such as patience and perseverance.
We just waited and waited for something good to happen on the end of our line. Then, someone fishing next to us gave us a fish.
But it's too early to be disappointed. There's still a chance at bare-hand fishing, the highlight of the festival. The frigid weather did not stop passionate participants, including me, from plunging into this ice-cold water.
After a really long wait of more than hours, I finally have this trout in my hand. I originally thought that I would go back home empty-handed, but I somehow managed to catch this trout, so it's really rewarding and happy. And to be honest, while catching the trout, it was freezing because it's currently below 0 degrees Celsius here in Pyeongchang, but now that I think of it, it's really rewarding.
And what's better than feasting on your catch right away? You can enjoy your trout either raw or grilled at a nearby cafeteria. There are other winter games to try besides the fishing, like traditional Korean ice sledding, snow tubing, ice skating, snow rafting, and more. For those who wish to try out this winter wonderland and also some great trout, the festival runs until January 29th. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News, Pyeongchang.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In the latest from the war in Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his forces to observe a 36-hour-long ceasefire beginning Friday local time to mark the Orthodox Christmas holiday, which celebrates Christmas on January 7th. According to the Kremlin's official website, the ceasefire takes into consideration a large number of residents in conflict-hit areas who are of the Orthodox faith. The order marks the first time since the 11-month conflict began that the Russian leader has directed his troops to stop fighting.
Kyiv rejected Russia's request to respond in kind, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling the ceasefire an attempt to stop the advancement of Ukrainian forces. Online retailer Amazon has expanded its layoffs to now include some 18,000 employees, the largest job cuts in the company's history. This according to a message to employees sent on Wednesday. The figure is an expansion from its ongoing layoffs of 10,000 employees from mid-November to early January. While previously jobs in the devices and books sector faced the axe, the new layoffs will impact those in human resources and retail. They will start later this month as Amazon looks to cut operating costs amid a slowdown in profits. The company saw a boom in sales during the pandemic, which has since slowed on the back of lower consumer spending due to the cost of living crisis. And finally, stunning allegations by Prince Harry have been revealed in his new autobiography, Spare, after a Spanish version of the book was mistakenly released a week early. Among the many bombshells, one claims that Harry was physically attacked by his older brother and heir to the British throne, Prince William, in 2019, allegedly after arguing over Harry's wife, Meghan Markle. Both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace have refused to comment on the alleged incident. The book is also said to contain claims that Prince Harry begged his father not to marry Camilla, now the Queen Consort. This over fears she would be a, quote, wicked stepmother. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Hello, I'm Lee Ji-hyun with the latest weather updates. It's Seoul today, the 5th winter term on the traditional calendar. Well, it's supposed to be the coldest time of the year around now, but instead of bone-chilling temperatures, we need to beware of toxic dust with snow forecast in the evening. Those in Gyeongsang-do provinces and the surrounding regions are having especially bad air quality with an ultra-fine dust advisories issued. Then either snow or rain will fall around the evening commute. Gangwon-do province could see up to 10 centimeters of snowfall. The rest of the country could receive 1 to 8 centimeters through tomorrow morning. So please be careful out on the roads, but due to warmer than seasonal temperatures, there should not be much of a problem outside. But be sure to have a face mask that can filter dust today. And unfortunately, the air quality tomorrow does not look to be any better. We should have bearable winter temperatures through next week, but dust levels will be unbearable. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
Right, and that ends our afternoon news segment, but do stay with us for our panel session coming up right after this break. Thank you for now.